Okay, hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of COMP3218 coursework Let's Plays. This is the second coursework. I am Tom Blount, I'm one of the lecturers on the course, and I am joined by...
Callum Sportforth, I'm a demonstrator on the course.
I'm Maxime, and I'm another demonstrator on the course.
Fantastic. Callum, would you like to tell everyone what we asked our students to do for this coursework?
For this coursework, we asked them to build a small game prototype of a storytelling-focused game that has a story engine, so the game mechanics impact the narrative, and the narrative impacts the game. So from this they had the choice of one of three fairy tales: Rapunzel, the Travelling Musicians, and the Frog Prince.
Okay, fantastic. So let's jump into the first game. What game is this one? The Royal Fox. Here we go. So this one is the Royal Fox. Got a nice. The Royal Fox got a little bit lost in the forest trying to find the golden ball. That ball is the symbol of the whole kingdom and must be recovered. Help the fox find its golden ball by avoiding all the obstacles and holes present in the forest. The fate of the kingdom of foxes is in your keyboard.
Oh, I know this one.
Cool. So that's actually kind of nice. It's introducing us to both the story and to the mechanics at the same time. Not the controls though.
Yeah, so controls are...
WASD?
Yeah, move and jump, I think.
So not W for jump.
Space.
Space for jump.
So this is a familiar fox. We've seen this fox before.
Yep.
Is in fact a different group to the last group that uses fox, courtesy of the Unity asset store. Yeah, this is also a fairly tricky platform.
Yeah, I can see that. So which...
Oh no, this is the easy bit.
Oh, okay, good. So which game is this based on? Because it said something about a golden ball, which is from the Frog Prince.
Yes, so this is the Fox Prince.
I see.
Yeah, so it does say in the notes that this is based on the Frog Prince.
And we could be here a while.
We could indeed. We'd be here much longer if Dave was the one playing. Dave isn't here today, so I can say that and get away with it until he edits all of these videos. Sorry, Dave.
I love that he's now got this reputation of just not being able to platform in particular. And again, you may be earning yourself this reputation.
I know. I mean, the controls are
a little sticky.
There feels something a little off about them, and it might just be the slightly slidey animation we've got. I like that that's sort of a little sort of saviour spot there. Otherwise, it seems to control quite nicely. The quality overall looks good. We've got a nice little background. We've got the sprites look quite nice.
So, I would like to take the opportunity to point out you've not had a checkpoint yet.
Oh, good.
So if you die, you will go back to the start.
Okay, I take it all back. That's terrible. Why would you do that? Ooh.
Yeah, that's...
So do I have to go up here, or...?
So this is interesting. It's like a little bit of a platformer in which a jump you can't make. Oh, there we... Oh, that's easy. Okay.
Aha.
I think I went the other way.
So again, like sort of choice, but not really choice because...
Yeah. It's also a mechanical choice, I think.
Hi there. Have you seen my golden ball? I really need it. So we've got some dialogue options. Yes, it's in the middle of the lake. I can get it to you if you find me 20 diamonds.
So, before you do anything
Let me think a second.
The lake is really hard platforming, so I'd let him get them for you. I don't know what it does, but the lake was horrible when I tried it in the expo. Like, genuinely tricky.
Okay, so what happens if I say no?
Game over.
Then you have to do the lake. So if you decline, you have to go and get them yourself from the lake. If you accept, something else happens.
But I have to get him 20... Alright, let's accept. Frog will find the golden ball only if you give him 20 diamonds. Okay, so sort of recapping what just happened. Go back into the dangerous forest and collect at least 20 diamonds. So this, again, we're being presented with a choice that's not really meaningful in any way because we've got no information with which to make this choice. It's not a case of one will have lots of platforms and one will have lots of enemies and we have to decide whether we prefer platforming or defeating enemies somehow. We're just being asked blindly, do you want to get diamonds or not?
Mm-hmm. And also... And the diamonds don't really have any narrative meaning at the moment. It's just an arbitrary collection thing.
Well, I was going to say, the other thing is, does it matter whether I go to the lake and get the golden ball directly, or whether the frog does? Does that actually change the narrative in any way?
I have no idea, maybe. You're going to have to jump up and...
I was going to say, how many diamonds are there in total?
20.
Oh no, I have to get 20. Are there precisely 20 in this level?
I wouldn't... Oh my god, can you actually...
Look at that.
Pro platforming skills here. Okay. So the diamond density just went up quite a lot.
Sure did.
And this is interesting in that it's a very safe bit of platforming, that bit.
Well,
And alright, just push on.
Let's hope there's at least 23 diamonds.
Back to the start. So again,
it was going so well.
Even though you may want to reset a game like this, if you're building a platformer, don't do it for the Let's Plays, because we are terrible at this.
I wouldn't even do it for a proper game, right? The reason this used to happen in sort of older games is to wring more money out of people at arcades, but we've moved past that point now. That's not to say your game can't be hard, but that's frustrating, not hard.
Yes. So things like Dark Souls have this idea that you have to do a certain amount of the run again in order to reach the point you died. But again, it's very difficult to balance.
If there was a big pile of like 12 diamonds sort of sat floating here where I just lost, then it'd be slightly less frustrating.
Exactly. Dark Souls does quite a lot to mitigate that rather than...
So it's sort of at this point that I would sort of talk to you about, or rather ask you what you thought of the story engine, but we've not really seen a lot of evidence of one yet.
The thing is, I don't think there is any evidence of one.
So
there is definitely, I believe, 2 endings at least. But beyond that, I think we've seen sort of the core of the story engine at work.
So you have their game notes to hand, the little report they handed in with this game.
Yep.
What do they say their story engine involves?
The storytelling engine uses user-based actions and choices to lead the different narrative events. There are 4 different levels separated by narrative sequences, which translate to the user into the fictional world of the game.
Okay, that's not very descriptive. So you can make choices that have an impact on the narrative,
but so far the only choice has been an explicit choice of just yes or no.
It says there will always be a way to reach the game's end, so it makes me think there's only one ending.
So you've missed a diamond there. We'll see if that has any impact.
If I get to the end of this level and I've got 19 diamonds, I'm going to be so annoyed.
If you get to this level and you have 19 diamonds and that isn't meaningful, I'll be even if they decide to say, well, you've not got 20 diamonds, so that means something narratively, then to some extent it's sort of fair enough. Yeah.
Okay, so theming again. This feels like it doesn't. It's more. The theme is sort of more set dressing rather than.
Okay, there's more. Hang on, can you actually go to the? I was going to say go to the end of 19 diamonds and see what happens, but
I'd rather not, in case they say you lose. But you're right. What happens if I do that? It's this.
So you're gonna have to jump back.
I have to go this way. So if you go to the top route, there's loads of diamonds. So I think this is the same level as it was in the start. It's just this time there are diamonds on it, or at least
maybe.
Oh my god, you're kidding!
Oh, you're going somewhere.
Oh, I'm sort of stuck on the bottom of the... Okay, so I've sort of bugged out now. So now I've got to do the first level again as well.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Alright, so let's give that a go.
You want to go to platforming next? You want to go to platforming?
I'm not good at platforming.
We could be here a while.
We could, so we can't skip through this, which is a little bit unfortunate. But again, so they've used basically a cutscene to sort of introduce us to the world and the sort of theme. But again, they've used the theme of the Frog Prince as a premise. It's just you've lost a ball, get the ball back. But none of that is apparent through the gameplay.
I'd also point out that this cutscene, because it's set on a fixed timing schedule, you get a chunk of text, then a set time later another chunk of text. If you're too slow or even too fast a reader, that is impossible to frustrating.
Yep.
It also says that after this sort of bit with the diamonds, it says it has a linear pace.
It's been virtually nothing but linear this whole time. Apart from we can technically choose an easier pass if we've made a good jump, which isn't terrible games. I kind of like that they've included that, but I wouldn't call that sort of narrative choice at all.
And I don't think there's any meaningful narrative choice in this, at least not that we've seen so far.
Actually, there was the choice about do we get the frog to do it or do that, but
that's not so much narrative choice as mechanical choice, because it's not really changed the narrative. It's just changed the level. It's like a level select dialogue.
Exactly. If we get to the end and the frog says, "Oh well, you were selfish and sent me to get it without providing the diamonds or something," then that would be impacting the narrative. But the problem is, until we get there, we can't really tell.
So this is absolutely why you either give us make your game nice and easy for us to play, or give us a skip screen or something.
It's interesting because it's one of these games that feels like you sort of get in the zone to, and it almost becomes like a sort of one button platform.
Yeah, like an endless runner.
Yeah.
But
because as soon as you stop moving, it feels like you struggle.
Yeah.
But yeah, thematically doesn't really match with so one of the whole themes of the Frog Prince is appearances being deceptive, not everything being as it seems. And that's not really sort of brought across through gameplay.
It did say it was a dark forest and it looks quite bright. So.
Yeah. But also just, we're not told any of the narrative through... so we do get that little dialogue with the frog, and he says he can get the golden ball for us back. So there is some sort of narrative progress that we make.
Again, functionally a text dump though, really.
But so it's a simple way of conveying the narrative, but it is technically conveying the narrative.
It's true.
Over the course of the game, rather than just a text dump at the end.
And I definitely will take that sort of NPC dialogue over an overt cutscene most days for that sort of thing. But it does depend.
Remember, cutscenes are totally valid techniques to use.
Yes.
There we go. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that is just a mirror of the first level.
Alright.
Right, should I take the lake one?
Yeah,
just,
go on.
Just so we got something
get some
different to look at.
How are we doing on time?
So if I decline, you refuse the help of the frog, so now you must find the golden ball by yourself. You need to go into the middle of the lake without falling into water. That sounds difficult to get into a lake without getting wet. Remember, the golden ball is the kingdom's mighty symbol, and you must find it. Can we not just get a new symbol?
So those rocks are actually not square colliders. You can go down to the right side of those rocks.
Oh, so you can.
Yeah.
How did our ball end up all the way in this lake?
It may have rolled.
Maybe the fox is a really good throw. They were playing their annual cricket game, and they used the kingdom's holy symbol as a good call.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. You can see why I said this is
a little bit frustrating, I guess.
It's almost mean at this point.
I was going to say, the crates aren't too bad. It's these rocks, because you do have to sort of jump down to that little ledge to be able to make the next jump.
Yeah.
Kind of like Crash Bandicoot with all the crates.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like we're probably not going to manage to get to the end of this game.
I don't think I'm going to be able to do any better, to be honest. I didn't in the expo, but we'll try.
I said take one shot, and then we probably will have to wrap this. Remember, we did say we're probably only going to have 10 minutes to play this. So if we can't get to the end in 10 minutes, then unfortunately we're just not going to see that.
Right, so if we go down there. See, again, that spacebar feels a little sticky at times. There's times I would expect that jump key to work, and it's just not.
So we're all holding our breath here because we don't want to distract. So yeah, overall, I think the quality of the game is actually relatively nice. It is a nice little platformer, if sort of, tooth-crunchingly frustrating.
And that's it. I'm going to that.
Alright. But unfortunately, we've not been able to see a whole lot of evidence about sort of conveying that narrative and sort of the story engine.
So isn't the choice that they make about the frog meant to be sort of, you see one side that looks maybe deceiving, but that was either you pay him or he does it, or you do it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And all it really does is, like Callum says, it's basically a level select rather than, it doesn't really impact the narrative because we're still jumping over platforms. It's just we're doing it for diamonds or to get the ball directly. Anyway, let's move on. So this one looks like it's called the Frog Prince.
So the Frog Prince, it must be a Rapunzel basically. Okay, we are a frog.
So A and D to move left and right, space to jump, T to talk. So
you're already dehydrating, Tom, according to the top left.
Oh no. Okay, continue.
Oh, that is trippy. What is going on there?
That's the horizon.
Yeah, but That's messing with my head. Wow.
It's like when you jump, the ground moves down.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to see what happens if I do let that run out. I imagine that is sort of my health bar, and I have to be in water, but...
Yeah, you
just
just
reach
start.
Splash. I wonder what that was. So, there we go. We've sort of been given like a little bit of narrative.
So as long as you're in water...
Like slight foreshadowing. And there's the golden ball. I don't think this is important.
Okay. So despite the fact that we as players know it's important, we don't get an option to take it. That's...
Because we're not at that point in the narrative yet.
Yeah, but that's slightly frustrating.
I can just sort of...
Oh, here we go.
Oh, I can just jump constantly whenever.
Oh, fantastic.
Whee!
Oh.
Flying frog.
I think you need to talk to...
So, T to talk. Princess, why do you weep so bitterly? Alas, what can you do for me, nasty frog? My golden ball has fallen into the lake. Well, I could get it.
She insulted you and then mentioned...
Wait, I want not your pearls and jewels and fine... Did she offer them?
But if you will love me and let me live... I think it's sort of directly taken from the story. So the princess promises to love us if we get the...
I want to see a version of this game which is sort of...
just-
there goes the ball. Oh, well.
Oh, no, it's alright.
Oh, you got it, okay.
Okay, so it was just... I'm now attached to it. That was interesting. So yeah, we are sort of stuck to it.
So I want to see a version of this game where the ball actually...
and the princess has run off.
Controls the princess. It's like some mind control device. Something a little bit darker and more sinister. So just, shake it up a bit.
So we're currently dehydrating as we chase after the princess. And there's a little pool of water for us to...
You're going to have to stay in it for a bit longer.
So let's recharge that. So quality-wise... there are some little interesting bits and pieces, like the fact that we can sort of jump indefinitely.
And the horizon goes with the frog. Is just...
Yeah, there are a couple of little visual...
It's distracting,
but otherwise, can we interact with this castle?
It does...
T. So yeah, we have to talk to the doors to let ourselves in. Can we interact with these ones? Knock, knock. So we can. There is no answer.
That's nice.
Interestingly, that water bar seems fairly...
By the fountain cool and
goes down sometimes, but doesn't always go down.
There is no answer. What seems to be the matter here? There is a nasty frog. I told him he should live here for getting my golden ball out of the lake, and that he should be rewarded with a kiss. As you have given your word, you must keep it, so go and let him in. So if we talk to this open door... There we go, so we knock again. Oh no, we just started that dialogue again, but the princess hasn't come.
The princess is there, so we're going to chat to the princess.
Princess picks up the frog to kiss him, and as she does, he starts to transform and grows in size. He transforms into a prince. You have broken the cruel charm cast at will.
You
We're
still
still
seem
a
to
frog.
be a frog.
And now where I will marry you and love you as long as you live.
My God, they very...
And they lived happily ever after.
Okay.
Okay, so that was quite a short one.
So it does mention you can explore the map.
Oh, really?
And
But why?
I must admit, there doesn't seem to be a particular element of choice in this so far. It seems to be very much a...
Is there a choice?
I don't think there is, not that I've seen.
Right, so let's go and explore the map and ignore the princess.
Like any good frog would.
We're going to go see the world.
Yeah, it's interesting that it sort of does just take you on this very, very straightforward sequence of dialogues, essentially.
So it's interesting because before we've said, just throwing up invisible walls all over the place can be a bit frustrating to the player. But equally, letting us run off without starting the plot is equally frustrating because we're going to have to go all the way back there now. There is a middle ground between these. So, for example, if we ran past the princess, we could have a little event where she starts crying and sort of saying, "Oh, alas, my golden ball," or something to draw us back.
It does say that there's different dialogues based on progression through the story, using different flags.
Okay.
Is able to choose which is the appropriate dialogue.
See if we can generate some, I guess.
But I feel like that just means, the dialogue that we've seen. So if we've got the ball or not.
Yeah. That's possible because there's no one else to talk to, and this is the only objective, really.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to open your game up to sort of free roaming, I feel like you have to include a good reason or reward for that free roaming.
Yeah, exactly.
So, for example, if you roam around, say, Skyrim or Oblivion, you'll stumble across, various interesting little tidbits, be it bandits or quests. If you wander around, say, a dead end in Dark Souls, you'll generally get some souls or some kind of item out of it.
Whereas this, you just get the edge of the map.
Yeah, which it makes you feel like you've wasted your time as a player, which is not something you want your player to feel.
So story engine wise, essentially there's some triggers that gate the next part of the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
The gameplay only affects the narrative in terms of it sort of just progressing to the next point. There's not a lot of choice. It doesn't really recognise much in the way of state. So either we've got the ball or we've not got the ball, but there's not a lot of sort of there's no sort of branching or anything like that. Thematically, I mean, it is just retelling the story, so it does sort of follow that theme. It'd be nice if they sort of incorporated more of that into the mechanics. Right now it's more sort of explore and interact with things when prompted.
I mean, yeah, it's very much, it's just...
So if we go and talk to the king directly, what is a frog doing in my castle?
Okay, but he doesn't kick us out, he just stares at the frog.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now our dehydration meter's not doing anything.
So I don't feel like the dehydration meter has done particularly much. It seems like it might have been there for difficulty purposes, but
it feels like they wanted to sort of build a game around sort of that and sort of rushing between pools of water, but it maybe never quite got realised. So, and then here we just sort of knock on doors randomly until we find the princess.
So do we have any sort of choice here?
It would have been maybe interesting if the doors were randomised. So.
But even what would the point of that be? There's no reason to.
Well, maybe there's other things behind the other doors.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of, again, there's sort of like interesting narrative tidbits, like sort of just fleshing out some of these characters. Maybe you knock on a door and there's a maid, and the maid is sort of talking about the princess behind her back or something just to round out these characters a little bit. So overall, it's a fairly simple game, but it does tell the story of the frog prince.
Yeah, they've done a good job of keeping it sort of on topic, so to speak.
Yeah. But because it's so simple, there's not really a lot else we can say about it.
No. There seems to be a story engine that is clearly phased, but it seems very, very linear.
It's happily ever after.
There's...
So you have... So let's just quickly think about sort of writing techniques and things. So they have sort of dialogue between the princess and the frog. There's nothing that the player can interact with. It's sort of like a series of sort of cutscenes. So we have the cutscene at the start that introduces the controls. There is the little event where we get a sort of splash as we're progressing through, and we can sort of examine the ball, but nothing happens. And then we get this sort of like cutscene at the end as well.
It's a real shame they've not done some of the things we've seen in other games, such as just give you the option to pick up the ball before you meet the princess.
Like that. And then the princess says, you dirty thief, you've stolen my ball. And then we can say, oh no, we were just looking after it for you, or something. So the story engine sort of maintains a state of your actions, and then the characters react differently to that depending on what state we're in.
It's very minor bits of agency, but there's still interesting bits of agency.
Okay, shall we move on to the next game?
Yes.
Okay, our next game is, as far as we know, called Sprint 2. Aha, here we go. It's another one called Rapunzel.
Shall we begin with Rapunzel then?
Let's. So this one has a nice little bit of music over the background.
I feel like I've heard this before.
I have. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's a...
I know which one this is, and I think I know why.
Yep.
Yes, they have reused assets from various places.
So we also got the Zelda
that may be familiar to you. Let's put it that way.
I'm just gonna actually mute that just before we get copyright strikes on YouTube. Okay, so here we are. We're in the game. Again, no indication of the controls, but we can work out that it's left and right. Old man, greetings, young prince. Now that you have come of age, it is time to meet a good woman. So again, very, very slow scrolling text. And can we... No, if we click continue before it's ready, we just jump through the entire thing.
Yeah.
You should rescue her and take her hand in marriage. I could leave now, or I could stay here and watch Netflix. Which do you think we should do?
I kind of like Netflix.
So you're the only person who's actually not played this game, so...
So we're gonna watch Netflix and then leave tonight.
Alright.
But what impact do you think this will have on the story?
I mean, I'm really hoping a Netflix window will open and some TV should pop up, but I don't
But
think
so the problem is this isn't really a choice. This is just, do we pick A or B, and we've no idea what either of these things do.
No, and it doesn't seem relevant to any story.
And yeah, so if we click leave tonight, it's dark now, so there are zombies.
As there is.
Because of course. I didn't expect it to get dark this quickly.
I mean, they've got that genuine Netflix sensation to it.
We
haven't
click leave tonight, and if tonight is not dark, then there's something wrong.
they? Yeah.
So this is a tad spooky. There's, I keep forgetting that it doesn't autofill the text, so we have to wait.
So,
Perhaps I could have encountered less fierce creatures if I'd left earlier.
so that is at least a nice nod to the alternative choice.
But the problem is it's not true. We'd go through exactly the same set of challenges.
It's right. You're right. It's absolutely false.
Are there day
But-
zombies, or
But there are elves if you go during the day. And
as you would expect?
Hey, at least it does present that other option and sort of hints at what may be worth replaying for whatever reason.
so I meant greetings, young chap. This is a very well-spoken zombie. I'm sorry, but this forest is run by the zombies at night.
If you're going to say it's a well-spoken zombie, I need an accent on.
If you can prove your knowledge of the zombie people, we will let you pass.
The zombie people.
Yep.
What famous British zombie film, starring Simon Pegg, was released in 2004?
Is there a multiple choice?
There is a multiple choice. Was it Shaun of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, I Am Legend? They're vampires in I Am Legend. Or
I think
Evil
it
Dead?
was Evil Dead.
No,
I think it was Dawn of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dawn of the Dead?
Shaun of the Dawn of the Dead. So I will tell you right now, if we pick the wrong one, we only have one life, so we will lose and
Yep.
go right back to the start.
Right.
So
Shaun of the Dead.
they wanted to have a life system and a couple of sort of options, but unfortunately there's only a couple of these questions, so having more lives actually makes it fairly trivial to get through.
Are the questions the same, or do they change?
That should have gone away. Oh,
There we go.
there we go.
Brains.
So let's...
Hello, sure, my friend over there told you the rules. Rules pass blah blah blah. Here's your question.
So I'd just like to talk briefly about using general knowledge in your game. Using sort of requirements of requiring your player to know things about various bits of pop culture and general knowledge is always very risky. Because, for example, if we didn't know the answer to any one of these questions, in the worst case, we'd have to play through the game 4 times before actually being able to answer them.
Well, the other thing is, it's nothing to do with Rapunzel.
There is that as well.
It's like Simon Pegg, and like Simon Pegg British comedy films. Yeah.
So it's very out of the setting. It's very immersion breaking.
I mean, that's the thing. We've got this sort of like medieval-y like story, and we're talking about. I mean, it's fine to do a sort of modern twist on it and sort of have that. Oh, I'll just go and watch Netflix and have sort of sort of slightly satirical like nods to things. But also, but then you start referencing like sort of like
Yeah, if you want to reference pop culture, you can build the tone of your game around having sort of pop culture references in there. But I certainly wouldn't gate progress behind it.
That's that. You can do sort of like a satirical modern retelling of a fairy tale, but this is just sort of it feels very arbitrary that we're just being asked questions about zombie films to get to the princess.
BuzzFeed zombie quiz.
Before you go and prove your worth to her, I have a proposition. Rumor has it that Rapunzel secretly has a thing for zombies.
What do you think will happen, Max?
I can bite you and turn you into a zombie, if you wish.
Do you want to become a zombie?
I'm going to say no, because worst case, you can just come back and get bitten, right?
But can we come back? Let's try
Well,
it.
I mean,
or not.
in theory.
So let's say no.
No way.
But let's see if we can actually come back and change our mind.
I doubt it.
I strongly doubt it as well, but let's try.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, so we're about to find Rapunzel's tower. Seems to be quite a long walk to get there. There we go. So there is the tallest tower with Rapunzel at the top.
She could never get down, she's been living that up all that.
She's quite short.
I mean, the tower's quite short. She's about, the tower's twice the height of Rapunzel? Anyway,
Finally,
we can't pick
a prince has come to rescue me. I will gladly have your hand in marriage.
Whoa.
That was fast. We haven't
Slow down here. We just met.
there are so many zombies and elves in those forests that trick poor men and convince them to become one of them.
Oh, so she doesn't have a thing for the decaying flesh of the undead.
That's good.
Who'd have guessed?
Yeah.
I am so delighted that you are a fellow human.
So this is an interesting choice, because
Congratulations, try again.
commenting that you have to be a fellow human actually sort of spoils the other ending of the game if you were to go through as the elves.
But I mean, the other ending's the same.
Exactly. But at the same time, it tells you how to answer that
But
question at the
how do
end.
they make you an elf?
Elf magic. Also, they're not like Lord of the Rings sort of foresty elves. These are Santa's elves.
Yes.
Ah, right.
They live in the forest.
Okay.
So let's talk about the story engine.
Is there one?
Maybe.
I mean, there are triggers that cause events
Mm-hmm.
where the zombies ask us questions. Is that narrative?
I mean, not relative.
So the thing is, I would almost say yes if there was some coherency between it. But it is very much just a series of, a person, let's ask him some questions. Rather than actually building up any kind of dramatic curve, adopting 3-act structure, hero's journey, any of those.
There is a little bit. There is the sort of, you are the prince, you are a man now, you must go and get married. So there's that sort of, we're at least given the call to adventure, we know why we know what we're setting out to do.
Even if it is a bit of a hollow call.
The game apparently has 3 possible endings.
Presumably,
Elf,
happy ending, elf ending, and zombie ending. But
both of which are game over. Yeah. But yeah, there's not really a narrative curve to it, or any kind of real plot to it beyond, you wander through, you chat to some elves, and then, hey, you immediately get hit on by a princess.
This does say there's a 3-act structure.
Oh, how do they demonstrate it?
I mean, they're sort of right. We have the sort of first scene where we're told, this is your inciting moment. You have to go and marry the princess. Then we have to
call to action.
go through there and actually get there, and then there's the resolution where we find the princess. So I mean, it is there,
but there's no acquisition of means.
I mean,
there is just
you
you get tested. I guess.
Getting to the tower and being tested along the way. Like I say, it feels a bit simple and arbitrary, but it is there.
That the climax is right at the end, which I don't think.
I'd say if this game has a climax, it is definitely the choice to become a zombie or not.
See, that's lower than the prologue and the climax in their graph.
Interesting. Because that is sort of the important moment. The problem is, again, it's a very arbitrary choice. We're given no information as to... So I spoke to them about this in the expo, and Rapunzel mentions later in the game that, the elves are tricksters and they sort of trick people into becoming one of their own, but we're given no context for that all the way up until... I mean, Santa's elves are lovely and friendly and give people toys, right? They don't trick them. They're not sort of wicked spirits. I mean, like, fae and fairies are sort of known for this kind of thing, and if they had been set up sort of through this journey and maybe even through some of the questions that they're actually tricksters, then when we get to this final choice, we'd have more information to make this choice.
They could have done that by exploring the characters a bit more through some world building, be it the actions of the elves or other NPCs.
So it does say the primary narrative technique is dialogue, which drove the story and influenced gameplay.
What's interesting, and I agree definitely at the start and the end, but I don't think those elves actually deliver any part of the narrative beyond asking you a few questions.
No.
Same with the zombies. They just say, we control these woods to pass. Answer me my riddles too.
And they're not really riddles at all.
Yeah.
Riddles would have been interesting actually compared to sort of pop culture questions.
Yeah, I agree.
It's more accessible to a wider audience.
So hang on. So back to story engine for a second. There is story engine in that it recalls whether you chose to be a zombie, an elf, or stayed as a person, and that does affect the ending. So there is story engine, but again, minimal.
Yeah.
You see, there are many elves in these woods. You like to trick men. Blah 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 blah. Unfortunately, I am not interested in elves. Game over.
Yep. It's a relatively non-tense ending, I feel, for something that was meant to be a climax.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of investment. There's not a lot of tension. It's very much just okay.
You're stuck as an elf forever now.
Have fun.
So sort of thematics and techniques. So yeah, again, it's sort of, there's the premise of there's a princess, go rescue her, but the stories, like the gameplay, has very little to do with the theme. In fact, virtually nothing to do with the theme, because it's got elves and zombies and pop culture quizzes in it. It feels really jarring, sort of putting that next to the traditional series, the traditional tale of Rapunzel. If they'd sort of even like gone more overboard with it and made sort of really twisted the Rapunzel story into something new and sort of played off that theme, it could have been interesting. But because they sort of had like the traditional story with these elements spliced into it, it just feels really jarring to me.
But, I mean, if you took the middle out, then it's sort of on topic the way through.
Yeah, exactly.
But the middle just doesn't.
So I mean, you can even say that just the gameplay doesn't fit with the tone or the narrative whatsoever.
Yeah.
Technique-wise, so they give us some sort of like slightly sort of dialogue-y cutscenes at the start. We get given some sort of moments of choice, even though we're not totally sure if they're necessarily meaningful choice.
No, it's not really.
But they do give us the option to sort of at least have some interaction with it as we go through. It's just we're interacting. Yeah, we're not really interacting with the narrative itself up until this last choice at the end, and because we're given no context for it, it sort of falls a little bit flat, I think.
I think with that we should move on to the next game.
I think that's actually our last game for this batch. So thank you very much for watching, and we will see you shortly with another video.